I warn you with the utmost solemnity. This treatise is not a common spiritual content made of sweet consoling words or abstract concepts to entertain the mind. If you choose to continue watching, you will be subjected to an immediate vibrational test that the vast majority of people are not even remotely capable of passing. 97% of those who begin this journey will stop long before the end, unable to withstand the pressure of a truth that admits no compromises and requires a temper of steel. If you are not seeking a real, brutal, and radical transformation of your being, I urge you to close this page now, because if you decide to move forward, nothing in your perception of reality will ever be the same. The fact that you are listening to this video at this very instant is not the result of a random algorithm or a fortuitous coincidence, but a synchronic appointment orchestrated by forces operating beyond the veil. Thoth, the supreme architect of all realities, and Sophia Chokmah, the living wisdom that existed before creation itself, are testing you right now, in this second, to verify if your soul is finally ready to cross the threshold of the sanctuary and play the game of reality as a sovereign and not as a pawn. In authentic Egyptian Hermeticism, initiation has never been a theatrical ceremony made of candles, perfumes, and silk robes, but a series of ruthless trials through the elements. Fire that burns away the impurities of the ego, water that drowns old identities, air that suffocates mental illusions. By consciously accepting to immerse yourself in this message, you have unconsciously consented to enter the first chamber of the test, where every thought and reaction of yours are weighed on the scales of truth. Many will quit within the first few minutes because their nervous system cannot sustain the high frequency required to reach the end of the treatise. Only 3% will actually absorb the content and, among those, only 0.3% will implement the final protocol within the next 72 hours. Thoth represents the structure of the test, the one who knows every rule of the game of reality and who does not distribute knowledge randomly, but only after verifying the technical capacity of the aspirant. Sophia Chokmah, on the other hand, is the moral criterion of the test. She judges the intention and dignity of your heart, distinguishing those who seek knowledge to serve evolution from those who seek it only to feed their own ego. Failing in either aspect means failing in both, as technique without wisdom is sterile and wisdom without discipline is powerless. Consecrate your presence to this monumental awakening. Imprint your like as a seal of inner fire here, now. And with your irrevocable hype, I will know that you have chosen to inhabit your mastery, and that your soul is finally ready to reclaim the inescapable truth of its own solar lineage and its earthly mission in this time of great transition. Reality is a game with fixed rules written by Thoth in the records of the universe, and Sophia decides who is worthy of reading its secret instruction manual. Most of humanity plays completely unconsciously, reacting to external events as a victim of circumstances, devoid of real power over their own existence and trapped in an infinite cycle of cause and effect. Initiates, on the other hand, play intentionally, sovereignly, and actively, shaping matter through the strength of their will aligned with the divine. To understand where you are on your path of awakening, you must undergo a brutal, honest diagnosis, devoid of excuses. There are 3 levels of consciousness on this path. The first is that of the curious, representing 70% of those who land on these topics. The curious person collects information, watches hundreds of videos, and reads dozens of books, but never transforms knowledge into action, remaining stuck in an intellectual paralysis that produces no biological or spiritual change. Thoth warns, knowledge without application is a poison that inflates the ego and atrophies the spirit, making you a tourist of the sacred instead of its inhabitant. The second level is that of the practitioner, where about 27% of those who resist the initial test are found. The practitioner applies the techniques but does so inconsistently and based on mood. They meditate for 3 days and then stop for 10, experience bursts of motivation followed by long periods of stagnation and laziness. They have not yet understood that intensity without consistency is a guaranteed recipe for hermetic failure. The third level, that of the initiate, belongs to an extremely restricted elite of 3%. The initiate possesses non-negotiable self-mastery and maintains relentless discipline for months or years, without the need for external stimuli. Sophia demands that you declare the truth to yourself at this instant. If you do not know for how many consecutive days you have maintained a spiritual practice, you are at level 1. If you know it but the number is less than 21 days, you are at level 2. If you have surpassed 90 days of discipline without ever failing, you are finally on the threshold of real initiation. Be honest with yourself in the comments, because Sophia sees beyond every mask, and lying to her means condemning yourself to repeat the same cycle of mediocrity for the rest of your incarnation. If you have the courage to proceed, you will have to face the 3 classic Hermetic trials that will literally manifest in your daily life in the coming weeks, not as concepts, but as real events. The trial of fire concerns emotional purification and your ability to resist instinctive reactivity. It will present itself when a toxic person from your past unexpectedly reappears or when an old wound is provoked with surgical precision by an external circumstance. You will pass the test only if you can observe the provocation as an alchemical experiment, without reacting emotionally and transmuting anger or pain into a superior and unshakable understanding. The trial of water, on the other hand, concerns occult knowledge and your ability to interpret synchronicities as direct and intelligent messages from the universe. Double numbers, impossible statistical symbols, and premonitory dreams will begin to manifest with a frequency that borders on obsession. You must have the discipline to document these signs for 21 days, identifying the red thread that the universe is weaving for you and acting accordingly, as action is the only valid proof of your spiritual learning and your suitability for the next level. Finally, you will face the trial of air, which concerns absolute presence and the ability to decide instantly, without the paralyzing hesitations of the logical mind. It will manifest as a sudden opportunity with an extremely short time window, where you will be forced to trust your first deep intuition and act before rational doubt blocks you in an infinite and fruitless analysis. Remember Thoth's law: whoever hesitates when the Spirit calls definitively loses the golden key offered in that sacred moment. The passing statistics for these trials are brutal and reflect the laziness of the human soul. 70% fail the trial of fire by reacting with the ego, 90% of the survivors fail the trial of water thinking the symbols are just coincidences, and 95% of the very few remaining fail the trial of air due to pure procrastination. Only 0.15% of aspirants pass all 3 tests, joining Sophia's circle of active initiates. There are 7 invisible traps that capture almost everyone: seeking power before mastery, confusing reading with transformation, acting to impress others, giving up at the first obstacle, seeking external confirmations, getting lost in a mysticism that produces no practical results, and believing you have already reached the peak. We have now reached the central and solemn moment of this treatise: the practical activation of your energy. This is not an option or a suggestion, but a real trial you will go through at this very instant to verify your readiness. Sit with your back perfectly straight, feet firmly planted on the ground, and gently close your eyes. Breathe deeply, expanding your abdomen, and feel the weight of this moment. Know that you are not alone in this etheric space, as thousands of initiates before you have sat exactly as you are now, facing the same crossroads. We begin with the fire of purification. Precisely identify the heaviest and densest emotion you carry in your heart right at this moment. Whether it is anger toward someone, fear of your financial future, or an old pain you have never had the courage to face. Visualize it now as a thick, viscous black smoke slowly leaving the center of your chest and rising upward, passing through the top of your head. About 1 meter above you, visualize an intense and pulsating golden flame. It is the sacred fire of Thoth, which does not destroy life but transforms the lead of suffering into the gold of inner power. Watch the black smoke being absorbed by this fire and instantly transforming into dazzling white light. Feel this light descending back into your heart, bringing a peace that surpasses all understanding. If you perceived a real heat or a physical relief, you have passed the trial of fire. Now let's move to the water of knowledge. Keep your eyes closed and visualize in front of you, about 2 meters away, a magnetic and ancient silver light. It is the radiant presence of Sophia Chokmah manifesting in your sacred space. She extends her right hand toward you and, in the center of her palm, a specific symbol begins to form, created exclusively for your soul at this precise moment of your evolution. Do not force the image, do not try to invent it with your mind. Trust the first symbol that appears spontaneously in your consciousness, whether it is a sacred geometric shape, a totemic animal, a word in a lost language, or a number. This symbol contains the coded instructions for your next necessary steps. Mentally ask Sophia, "What should I understand through this sign?" And remain in absolute inner silence, without analyzing or judging what comes. The first response that emerges, in the form of a sensation, image, or inner voice, is your divine truth. Memorize every detail of the symbol and the message, as in the coming days the universe will show them to you again in physical reality as confirmation of your passing of the trial of water. You have shown that you can receive direct revelation from the source without the filter of the rational mind. Finally, we face the trial of air, the most demanding because it requires an immediate and audible act of courage. To your right, an intense and powerful golden light now manifests. It is the consciousness of Thoth observing you with a gaze that pierces through every mask of yours and reads every lie. He does not speak to your physical ears, but his voice echoes in the depths of your soul, asking you one single crucial question that will determine the course of your next 7 days. What is your specific concrete mission for this week? Do not think of universal goals or abstract life missions, but of a precise, measurable, and real task you can and must accomplish within 7 days to honor your awakening. The first idea that crossed your mind is Thoth's command. And now, to definitively pass the test, you must do what distinguishes the initiate from the dreamer. You must declare this mission aloud, with your physical voice, at this instant. The vibration of your sound must enter the material plane through your vocal cords, acting as a command for matter. Pronounce it firmly and with conviction, like a sacred oath before the gods and your own soul. Only by speaking will you have shown the required courage. If you remain silent, you failed the trial of air and your commitment remained confined to the sterile realm of thoughts. You have just passed the triple initiation of fire, water, and air, and the energy field that now envelopes your body is real, powerful, and protective, but it will last only if you begin to implement the declared mission within the next 72 hours. If you do not act, the field will dissolve and you will return to level 0 of the collective unconscious, where life happens to you and not through you. There are 5 levels of mastery of reality that now open before your path. Level 0 is the total sleeper who suffers every event. Level 1 is the awakened who understands that reality is a mental game. Level 2 is the nocturnal who learns to navigate parallel dimensions and lucid dreams. Level 3 is the shapeshifter who masters their own identity to influence environments. Level 4 is the sage who alters the collective perception of the world. Level 5 is the supreme alchemist who creates an indestructible bridge between the physical and the metaphysical, transmuting every aspect of matter at will. You are now at the beginning of Level 1, and the path requires years of relentless practice, but the step you took today is the most sacred and difficult of all. Thoth and Sophia form the mystical marriage between method and wisdom. Thoth provides the structure and discipline, Sophia the inspiration and pure intention. Together, they create the perfect system to refine your essence like gold in the crucible of existence. We have reached the moment of the supreme choice, the narrow door that admits no second thoughts or returns. Sophia and Thoth force no one. They offer their grace and guidance, but you must actively choose whether to accept the challenge or retreat into the shadow of mediocrity. Refusing is a legitimate choice if you feel you are not ready, but falsely accepting only to fail to act is an error that will exclude you from future initiation opportunities for a long time, perhaps for entire lifetimes. If you are truly ready to challenge yourself and the control system that wants you enslaved, you must perform a triple action now. Declare your acceptance, write down the received mission on paper, and begin to fulfill it today, without waiting for tomorrow. The next 7 days will be the fire of your life. Your old ego will scream to return to old reassuring habits, laziness will seduce you with 1,000 logical excuses, and your relationships will test your new integrity. But if you resist, if you keep your vibration high and your discipline ironclad despite everything, you will cross an irreversible dimensional threshold. Remember that initiation means to begin. It is not the end of a journey, but the start of a path of glory that will last until the last breath and beyond. Imagine yourself now at the end of this journey, when Thoth and Sophia finally recognize you as worthy of their crown. Your eyes will see reality for what it truly is, a dream of light moldable by will. Your ears will hear the background song of creation, and your heart will beat in sync with the rhythm of the cosmos. You will no longer have to convince anyone of your strength. because your mere presence will emit a frequency so orderly and powerful that it will harmonize the surrounding chaos without any apparent effort. Opportunities will appear in your life perfectly synchronized with your evolutionary needs, not by luck, but by the law of resonance, as your frequency will finally be aligned with the creative frequency of the universe. This is the power of dimensional physics applied to sovereign consciousness. You have taken the first step to activate your 9 latent dimensions and now operate with capabilities that the vast majority of humanity cannot even dare to dream of. The choice was always yours and will be for eternity. You planted the seed of acceptance and you will reap the ease of your destiny, or you planted rejection and you will reap the crisis necessary to wake up. Inhabit your inner truth and shine like the fixed star you have always been in the firmament of consciousness. Your personal transformation is not an isolated event, but an act of service toward the entire field of collective consciousness. By becoming an active initiate, you raise the vibration of everything around you, acting like a tuning fork that sounds the note of truth in a room full of out-of-tune instruments. Never underestimate the impact of a single individual who chooses to live in spiritual sovereignty. Your courage silently inspires others to wake up from the sleep of centuries. You are here to be the living proof that the dimensional leap is possible and that Thoth's laws are still active for those with eyes to see. The time for doubt has definitively set. The time for mastery has just begun in the depths of your sacred temple. Walk with pride, honor every trial of the next 7 days as a divine gift, and never look back toward the version of yourself that accepted the chains. The emerald portal is open, and your new life is calling you by name. Respond with the strength of one who knows they are eternal. I thank you from the depths of my soul for having the superhuman courage to face this initiatory trial, knowing that your transformation is the very foundation of our collective mission of light and planetary awakening. Consecrate this monumental passage by leaving a like full of vibrant intention. Subscribe to this channel to anchor your belonging to our vanguard of sovereign initiates, and comment now with the key phrase, "I accept the trial," or "Protocol activated," indicating with absolute honesty your current level and the synchronicities you perceived in these moments. And all this to seal your commitment before the energy witnesses of the quantum field. May your inner coherence be your inviolable beacon, guiding you toward the boldest, most radiant, and unlimited expression of your divine potential, while the abundance of Thoth and Sophia resonates in every new truth of yours manifested in matter. May your light shine beyond any temporal limit and your path be paved with miracles perfectly synchronized with your awakened will. See you soon.